Gavin and Aaron here from the Noble Dram. Tonight, Aaron and I are going to discuss the 6 Classic Malts of Scotland. This is our second part of the 3-part series. Join us as we sip a few more bottles.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us here on, as Gavin says, episode 2 of our 3-part series on the 6 classic malts. So if you missed the last episode, just give you a quick rundown. We tried both the Cragganmore and Dalwhinnie releases of the 6 classic malts, which was a marketing campaign put together late 80s is when it started.
Like 1988, yeah.
And then from there, they identified their 6 classic whiskey malts that kind of give you an understanding of Scotch. Tonight, we continue on with our next 2 bottles. That will be the Glenkinchie 12-year and the Oban 14-year. But as we get ready and get into this, Gavin, I'm going to ask you to get us started.
Ooh, I'm excited about this. All right, folks. Buckle up here. All right. So, Glenkinchie 12. Right here. So let me pour us a glass as we get started here.
I'm thirsty.
There we go.
Son of a gun. I saw what you did there.
Son of a gun.
I saw what you did there.
There you go, my friend.
If I don't make it to the end of the episode, it's Gavin's fault.
It's my fault. All right. So Glenkinchie was founded in 1837 by the Rate brothers.
Rate?
Rate, R-A-T-E.
T with not a P.
Not a P,
Okay.
a T.
So it would be an unfortunate name.
That would definitely be. And there's a claim for this distillery that they had actually opened up a previous distillery before Glenkinchie, and it was called, I believe, the Milton.
The Milton?
Yeah. And so
Glenkinchie sounds better.
Glenkinchie, it does. So the claim is that they started that, I believe, in like 1825. And then a little over 10 years, about 12 years later, they decide to launch the Glenkinchie. So things to note, Kinchie means, I believe, burn. So it's like a stream in Scotland.
Bird?
Burn.
Burn. Oh,
Burn.
like a small creek.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Glen, for those who don't speak Gaelic, which is, I'm assuming, all of us, Glen is valley, right?
Right.
Okay. So it's a valley with a creek in it.
Yes.
Pretty clever name.
Pretty clever.
I kind of want to know what Milton means in Gaelic. Milton, it's just the guy.
Just Mr.
He was
Milton.
their accountant.
Yeah, the accountant. So,
Is it just me, or does Milton sound like an accountant's name?
it does sound.
Sorry, Milton. If you're out there, we love you.
I think I had a coach in school named Milton. So
Did he also teach economics?
It
It kind of feels like, or is he the PE teacher? One of those coaches.
I think he did PE. He did something before.
All right. So,
anyways,
okay. So wait. Last week we talked a lot about the different regions of Scotland and how those lined up. What region is Glenkinchie?
Glenkinchie. Sorry, it smells amazing.
It smells
kind of.
It smells distinctly different than the last 2.
So
Right?
it's very light.
Yeah. Kind of thinking back to last time, there was maybe a little more smoke and fruit. This one doesn't seem to have that.
Right.
This is a little more
Fragrant.
grainy,
Yeah.
malty. I say grain like grown grains, not like the picture quality is not very good. Not that kind of grain.
Not that kind of grain. So this is a lowland. So if you think about Scotland, we can find a map for you. But it's obviously the lower half of Scotland. If we remember the regions, we've got Lowlands, Highlands, Speyside.
Yep. Not only low, like the bottom half of Scotland, but like low, like the flat, not hilly part, right? Both both meanings of low.
Both fair. It's a good point.
I guess there's also the low, which is like the sound cattle make when they lay down. That lowing.
Oh my god!
But I don't think that's the same one.
Oh gosh! All right. Do you want to round us out with the last two regions?
The last two regions. Okay, so you did Highlands, Baysides, Lowlands.
Actually, I guess maybe only the three.
Okay, so keep going way down there. We won't describe this part, but Campbelltown's down at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Campbelltown way down at the end. And then this is where you get into that. What starts out as friendly banter at the beginning of the night turns into an arm wrestling and fisticuffs in the parking lot over whether or not there are 5 or 6 regions. Right, islands, all of the both inner and outer Hebridean islands. I learned that this week. It's a good word, Hebridean.
It is.
And then the granddaddy of all islands, Isla, is often referred to as its own region.
Mm-hmm.
So
perfect.
Those are the 6, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Did I pass? Do I get a sticker?
I
feel like I should get a sticker.
Well, you got half. We can get half.
Like a smiley face sticker to
there
put
we
on
go.
my shirt.
There we go. We'll get you a thistle sticker. How about that? So Glenkinchie is also known as the Edinburgh malt because it is fairly close to Edinburgh.
I like the way you say Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I roll the R a little bit in there. The end of it.
Your Spanish upbringing coming through?
Yeah,
I got
it. Also something to note, they are also very tied into Johnny Walker. So Glenkinchie is the major component in the Johnny Walker blend.
Oh. So it's kind of like an easy way to get you some Glenkinchie.
Yes.
To order you a Johnny Walker.
Yes.
All right.
So if you end up making it to the distillery, you get to see the Walker, Mr. Johnny Walker. They have a big statue out there as well. Nice. So don't get it confused with Johnny Walker. It's just the major component.
Yeah. So maybe this takes us a step back, right? So the Classic 6 malts was a group or a set marketed by a group called the United Distillers and Vintners, right?
Mm-hmm.
My memory serves right. They're now owned by a company called Diageo. Diageo also owns Johnny Walker, right? So it makes sense that they use their own products and their own blends. So
right,
all part of good business strategy.
Absolutely.
All right, so man, I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to be brutally honest. Lowlands typically aren't the ones that I think of.
Yeah,
when I think of getting a whiskey. So I'm been pleased in this.
It's kind of lowly. You want to say that?
That sounds insulting. It sounds insulting to say it's lowly.
I mean, but you take a sniff of this, take a sip of it. It's really good. So on that, what do you get on the nose?
Yeah, so on the nose, I think we talked a little bit, or I mentioned it just a minute ago. Like I get a lot of grain, right? It's got a bit of a grassy hay kind of thing going on for me. Now, one of the traits that is not uncommon to Lowlands is actually triple distilling as opposed to double distilling. And I don't know. I apologize. We'll do some digging and see if we can figure this out. If Glenkinchie is triple distilled or not.
I think it's double distilled.
Is it still double distilled?
Well, let me know in the comments how wrong I am.
That tends to result, though, when you distill slower and multiple times, it ends up with a cleaner spirit that goes in the barrel, which tends to mean typically lighter, smoother, softer kind of flavors. So lots of Lowlands are common for people who don't drink a lot of whiskey. They make good, I call them gateway whiskeys, right? Because they don't have big, bold, punching flavors, right? They're very soft and very mellow. And I think this absolutely fits that description compared to the ones we tried last week, right? And not to let the cat out of the bag, but where this is going, this is by far and away the lightest of the 6.
Absolutely. And I would even say, like, even in the color, very similar
Yeah.
across the board. But
yeah, I was going to say, you want to say that there's a big variation of color, but there is no
really
variation
not,
of color.
really
Anything
not.
sitting on the table in front of us. Now, what I will say, size of the bottle does seem to have some impact, right? I would say that the Oban probably has one of the darker colors, and to be honest, the Glenkinchie kind of looks very similar, but it's a much bigger round bottle, so I think that throws the eye off a little bit.
Also, one thing to note about Glankinchie is that they were one of the few distilleries during World War II that still that they were permitted to still produce whiskey.
Interesting. Yeah, because most everything we looked into so far for all of these has said that there was a lull.
Yeah, right.
To some extent. I think the further out the distillery got, the further flung, some of those were not as quite impacted. But with this one being right there in Edinburgh, as you say, I think it's somewhat surprising to me that they were allowed to run production throughout the war.
Yeah. Okay, so on the nose, I get that grassy note as well. Floral. It's light, fragrant. I think I mentioned that earlier.
Dare I say delicate? Is that a fair way to put it? I think delicate is a very fancy way of saying light. Right? Yeah. It's got a bit of like flower blossoms, a little bit of kind of wildflower. Got that dry hay. Kind of reminds me of you go to the pumpkin patch, right? Being this time of year, right?
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of that. The smell of hay bales, right? Like that kind of thing is showing up in there.
I get also a bit of lemon or lemony grass.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of a very, very light citrusy, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not orange, more lemon, for sure.
Okay. So as we continue sipping on this, what do you feel like are the rules of Scotch, and how does it differ from bourbon?
Yeah, so I'll say there are some fairly clear and distinct rules, right? And I can touch on some of them. I don't know what percentage it can go into the barrel and all that kind of stuff. Not without doing a little bit of research on it, but probably the biggest and most dominant difference is grain profiles and the barrel they age in. That's probably the two major differences that you see between American-made bourbons and Scotland-made Scotch, right? So just in namesake alone, right, you cannot make bourbon unless it is in the United States. It is a U.S. law that defines bourbon. It's the only place you can get bourbon. The only place you can get Scotch is Scotland. You can make it exactly the same, but then you have to refer to it as a single malt whiskey, right? Because it can't be called Scotch unless it's from Scotland.
Very interesting. Okay.
Same way Champagne only comes from the Champagne region in France, right? Same concept. But the biggest difference in bourbons, they get to play to some extent with the grain profile, right? All has to be at least 51% corn, but beyond that, I've got 49% I can do with as I please. I can do more corn, I can do rye, I can do wheat, we can do barley, we can do malted barley, we can do all of that. Scotch, you don't have any of that. It is 100% malted barley. So we do tricks about, okay, well, what kind of barley do we use? Do we heat the barley, right? i.e. smoke those grains or not? Like there's those kinds of things that they try to impart flavor. Step back to bourbon. When you get done making your whiskey and go to put it into a barrel, it has to go into a new oak barrel. Never been used before. Lots of big, bold barrel flavors, right? That's why bourbons tend to be darker, bolder at much younger ages, because the barrel's imparting a lot more flavor. Whereas Scotch, or the rules of single malt in general, say you can use already used barrels. Not too surprising, the bourbon industry has a lot of extra barrels because they can only use them once. So the Scotch industry buys a lot of ex-bourbon barrels. So what you'll see on a lot of stuff. They'll either say ex-bourbon or American oak, right? That implies that it is American oak barrels that have been broken down and moved over. Now, in the Scotch world, because of the temperature differences, the aging speed, things age much slower. So they typically don't want big, bold barrels, right? Because it puts too much flavor too fast. So it's actually not an uncommon thing for the barrel coopers in Scotland to disassemble the US barrels, add additional staves, and put new barrel ends on to increase the volume such that the ratio of surface area to volume inside is actually lower, thus slowing the aging process down so you get longer maturation processes to get similar notes. But ultimately, there's no rule that says it has to be an ex-bourbon barrel. It could be ex-wine barrels or sherry barrels or port barrels or a variety of other dessert wines. And then there's nothing that says you use it once, you can't use it again and again and again. So what you'll find in Scotland is there's a lot of times barrels that are marked 60 or 80 years ago that have run multiple batches of Scotch through them. Now, they obviously all impart flavors at a different rate, different flavors over different times. Sometimes they'll scrape some of the char off the inside of the barrel and retoast it. Sometimes they won't. But really, the artistry in Scotch falls really heavily on the use of barrels and how you blend barrels. Whereas perhaps more of the artistry in bourbon is where do I get my grain and what my grain profiles are and how do I put those together. We're seeing some of this change a little bit, right? We're seeing a lot more what we call finishing barrels showing up in the bourbon world, where it's moved to a barrel for a short period of time to impart additional flavors, whether that be port finishes or sherry finishes or other various wines. Dessert wines are obviously a common barrel to move into, right? Because it adds all sorts of sweet complexity and stuff like that that you would have otherwise not gotten out of a standard oak barrel. But so I'll say in a very basic sense, that's the difference. Just like in bourbon, there are how many years does it have to age in order to call it a Scotch versus a single malt whiskey? What is single malt versus single grain versus blends? Like all of those have tons of different rules, right? But ultimately, those are the two big differences.
So you're saying...
Or, as a lot of my friends would say, Scotch is better and bourbon isn't as good. No, I tease. They have a place, right? In my mind, they both have a place.
I couldn't agree more. Although I hate agreeing with you. Couldn't agree more. So
it doesn't bode well for you when you agree with me. I get it.
Pretty much.
I understand that.
So what you're saying is you can't... So all whiskey made in Scotland can be considered Scotch. Can be considered.
Well, no, not necessarily. Because you can make a corn whiskey in Scotland, but you don't get to list it as a single malt Scotch, right? It can still be classified as a different type of Scotch, right? And so they've got a lot of subsets. We'll do a whole episode once where we get into what all the words on the front of a label actually mean. Because when I first started drinking, single malt Scotch meant something, and then I realized nothing like what I thought it meant. So perhaps another day. We're trying to keep episodes under 12 hours. That's the goal.
When you get nerds together, it's what happens. Okay.
We kind of derailed just a little bit, and when we're talking about taste on this one, right? Like I taste that malted barley, right? It's got that kind of malted grainy note. I don't know the barrels that are used. Quite often, it's not clearly defined. It is a variety of barrels, right, that are used and mixed together. But I do get a little of the hint of vanilla, hint of those kind of bourbon flavors that I think have carried through. So I think it's reasonable to assume that there's a bourbon barrel in the life of Glenkinchie. But man, I'll be honest, I'm surprised at how good that is. Yeah. Maybe it's the first pour of the day, right? That starting in a Lowland helps, right?
Yeah.
Ease ourselves into the pool. We're not jumping in with both feet in the deep end, right?
Which is what we typically do. On the finish, what are you getting on the finish?
I think the fruit shows up a little more on the finish. Light, though. Very light. Apricot, pear, stuff of that nature. Not big, bold fruits. by any means. Kind of reminds me of like when the pear tree used to blossom. Right, like the smell of the flowers and the light sweetness that's in the air. That kind of jumps out at me.
I get more apple on it, like a green
like
apple.
A tart green apple, or I'll be honest, I have learned a lot more about apples since I had kids. When I was a kid, like there was apples, there was red ones and there was green ones, and that's all there was. And now my kids are now older than that, but when they were little, like it was the Fuji's and the Galas and the Red Delicious and the Granny Smiths and we had all sorts of different apples, and each kid had their, I only eat these, I won't eat the other kind. And, I mean, classic kid stuff.
Right? What's your favorite?
I'm a Gala apple guy.
Okay.
I like the size, sweetness, right? But if you're gonna dip it in peanut butter, Granny Smith apple's pretty tasty. Like I like that crisp tartness. Don't drink water with it, and certainly don't do it if you just brush your teeth. But like a green apple is a good one.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well,
this was your bottle, so I have to give it a number first. I think that's fair. Man, so here's what I'm going to say. In the world of Scotch, this actually is a lower one on my score, just because I do enjoy the bigger, bolder flavors, right? If you were a bourbon drinker and you were sitting down to do a Scotch tasting, I would expect this one to be one of your higher Scotches, right? I'm going to put this at a 77. I wanted to say 70. I wanted to say 76. And again, this is just like there's a time and a place to drink this, right? We made the joke the other day about Dalwhinnie being breakfast Scotch. This is clearly breakfast Scotch. Dalwhinnie is much more bold. I should say this. This is if you're having a Danish or a pastry for breakfast. If you're sitting down and having a croissant, yes. If you're eating bacon and eggs, Dalwhinnie's your breakfast Scotch, right? Like that's just kind of that's the way I feel on this.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so you're at 77.
I'm giving it a 77.
Okay,
because we're on air and we always round up on air.
All right. Cool.
Don't tell me you gave it a 77.
I'm a 78.
Okay, that's fair. As long as we don't agree.
Yeah,
we have to disagree about something.
At some point, we have to disagree. This is something again on the more delicate and lighter side. So this is something. If you're just tippy-toeing into Scotch, I think this is a good place to start. If you are nervous because you heard about all the big, bold, peaty flavors and smoke,
you don't get that on this one.
You don't get that at all.
None.
So this is like perfect to kind of get your feet wet in there and just tippy-toe into it.
I don't know how long ago you got this. Do you remember how much you paid for the bottle?
I think we're setting at right around 70, between 70 and 75 bucks.
Okay. I don't think that sways my number. Like if you had said that was a $45 bottle, I was like, oh, that helps actually.
Yeah, and I think
if you just said it was 110, I was like, oh, we got to lower my number.
Again, when we talked on a previous discussion, we talked about price increases and inflation. I don't ever remember paying that amount for the Glenkinchie. Maybe I just don't remember, or maybe I just haven't tracked it enough.
Maybe we got screwed at the store and you're never shopping there again.
Maybe.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. You shall not be named. But this one came in a little higher than I originally thought it would be.
Okay. All right. I liked it. I'm certainly not mad about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave it at that.
If you asked me if I wanted to pour of the Glenkinchie 12, I would not deny you.
No, it's absolutely in the 70s, right? In my mind, you get into the 60s and I might tell you don't waste your money on it, right? But this is clearly in the 70s. If you walked in one night with a bottle of Glenkinchie and said, boys, I brought a drink.
Or ladies.
True. Actually, if you show up in a room full of ladies, I want to come drinking with you. That's all there is to it.
Right.
No, I absolutely pour me a glass, right? I think it's delicious.
I think.
Well, no. You said ladies. It's got me thinking.
Okay, what you got?
Every time I try a whiskey, I wonder if this is the one my wife would like. This one might be one my wife likes because currently I found zero of the scotches that my wife likes.
So
it doesn't feel like an insult to bourbon. I've also not found a bourbon she likes. So I shouldn't say that. You put enough sugar, water, and bitters into it, and she actually drinks them. So is it time to go on to bottle number 2?
Bottle number 2.
Bottle number, bottle number 4. I feel like Star Wars where like the numbers aren't quite lining up. All right, so
1 came way later.
This next one, Oban 14. This is where I'm going to just let everybody know we've all made this mistake of mispronouncing Scottish things.
I mean, you have.
I walked in. Of course, I don't say Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
I walked into the distillery and said, I am a huge fan of Oban. And
Ooh.
yeah, I thought they were going to laugh me right out of the place. So this one is Oban, soft A, Oban 14. So Oban, for those who don't know, is a little teeny village right on the west side of the mainlands. So this classifies as a Western Highland, is the way they claim it on their website. But yes, absolutely a Highland. It is different than the rest of the Highlands. This is as close to being an island as you can get. It literally out the front door, you hang a left and it's like 12 paces and you're in the water. I mean, it is that close to being out on an island. So Oban has this funny little tail that
like it has a tail?
Yeah, no, it's a curly one, like a pig. Yeah. So when Oban first started, let me back up. The Oban distillery is literally in dead center of the little town of Oban, Scotland. Makes sense. Makes it easy to remember, right? Oban and Oban. Mm-hmm. But back when they built this distillery, it wasn't in the middle of town. Hell, it wasn't even on the edge of town. There was nothing out there. We talked about the bottles last week starting in the late 1800s. It was a great time, evidently, to build distilleries. Oban had a 100-year head start.
Holy smokes.
The original distillery built in 1794. Not 1894, 1794. The United States had just won their independence.
I was just
and they're like, you know what we should do? We should drink whiskey. So yeah, long before there was a town, the town then grew up and grew around it. And unfortunately for the distillery of Oban, encompassed the distillery. So they're fully surrounded.
Okay.
And we're not talking new houses. We're talking like hundreds of years old now kind of places that are built up around it. And so this actually puts this as one of Scotland's oldest licensed distilleries and one of its smallest. Wow. So we talked about last week about distilleries that had production capabilities in the millions of liters. Oban can produce 670,000 liters a year. So they are a third to a quarter of the capacity of everything we've tried so far. I don't know the number on Glenkinchie, but if they're a primary component in Johnny Walker, I'm guessing the number's high.
Yeah.
Right? That's a massively produced whiskey. All right. So the other really cool part is when you run a small distillery, you don't need a lot of people.
Yeah.
And in my head, I always think of like, I know these names of these distilleries from clear across the globe. It's probably a huge facility for me to know about it. And then we visited Oban and like you could throw a baseball over the top of the entire distillery and hit the houses on the other side. It's just not that big. And we found out that there are 7 people that work at the distillery.
7?
7.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. If the flu hit town, it could shut down the entire distillery. Actually, I think the stat I read said Oban has 15 employees globally. Between all of their brand ambassadors and stuff, they have 15 people that run the distillery.
Hey, if you want some brand ambassadors, I know 2 fellows that would love.
Oh my God, one of my favorite distilleries. I say one of, right? Like this is one of the smallest and one of the oldest. But yeah, so this is one of the reasons this one specifically was selected to be one of the classic malts was because the distillery is so small, they've never been able to expand and modernize. So the stills they're using have been refurbished over the years, but they're still the exact same still layout and structure and everything as they originally were distilling. This is as close as we can get to tasting what whiskey tasted like several hundred years ago, right?
That's pretty cool.
Which is a fun twist. All these other guys have modernized, right? And more efficient, streamlined processes, more modernized equipment. But Oban kind of is this little nugget that lives in the past. One of the reasons I love Oban so much is it kind of has this mystique and tradition behind it. So, all right. So as we sit here talking about this, before we get into tastings, I have a question for you. You were asking the difference between Scotch and bourbon, right? Knowing that the classic six are a good chunk of the population's first real glimpse into single malt whiskeys, right? Lots of people tried blended Scotches, right? There's a reason they're popular and they sell a lot, right? But this might be people's first foray into single malt Scotches. So you find yourself, as you say, in the aisle at the bottle shop, and you're standing there trying to pick a bottle. What goes into your head as to whether or not to buy a Scotch or buy a bourbon? Or, I guess, broaden the conversation out to all the other whiskeys, Canadian, Japanese, Irish, American single malts, all of those. You've got a lot to pick from in the aisle. How do you whittle it down to a single bottle when you stand there?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
That's why I ask it. It's
yeah,
a good one.
It's a good one. So for me, I'm going to harken back to probably our budget-friendly conversation.
I like the word harken.
Harken. I'm going to harken back. So when I go to the bottle shop, it kind of depends on why I'm there. Is it I'm wasting some time, waiting for the wife? Or
I'm just picturing Gavin's like, 20 minutes to kill. Where's the liquor store?
That's exactly what happens. If I make it to pick up the kiddo and I'm a little early, I'm like, hey, I know a couple stores nearby.
Yeah, like some people sit in their car and scroll through TikTok. Gavin goes in and looks to see what bottles they have at the liquor store.
Exactly. It's just one of the things I love to do. So it just kind of depends on why I'm there. If I'm there for a specific reason, I want to get a specific bottle, or if I'm looking on my shelf and I just maybe finished a bottle and I want to put something back up in its place, and I want something similar to what I previously had, or there's a myriad of things that kind of go through my head. Budget being one of them. Obviously, we talked about in previous episodes that sometimes bourbon typically is more budget friendly than Scotches a lot of times. And so I would say, that has something to do with it if I'm walking down the aisle and trying to what makes the decision. But just kind of start over a little bit here. I started my whiskey adventures, as I like to say, with Scotch. It wasn't until we really moved to Scotland that I really dove deep and took a deep dive into whiskey. I enjoyed it previously, but it wasn't really too
more of a dabbler. Would you say?
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. I dabbled in the whiskey realm.
It's a great word. I'm just not positive it paints the right visual picture.
And I said realm, and I think that does.
Yeah, well, I'm a dabbler.
I'm a dabbler in the realm of, and so.
I'm picturing you at the Renaissance Fair saying this.
Oh,
yeah.
You want to go? You want to go? We should go. So I tend to lean more towards the Scotch. The Scotch.
All else being equal, you fare on the Scotcher side of things.
On the Scotcher side. I do. Caveat, over the last couple years, I've been trying to hone in my skills in the bourbon and American whiskey industry. And so my shelves have kind of shifted.
How does one hone your skills on drinking bourbon?
You just buy.
You just buy drink bourbon.
Drink it.
Practice.
Yes.
Lots and lots of practice.
This hobby doesn't come cheap sometimes.
I've found, like most hobbies, having a friend who's already into it helps a lot.
It does.
Right?
It does. You mentioned previously that during the COVID era, your whiskey room,
I think ballooned. I think ballooned is the appropriate term. Yes.
Since I met you, my whiskey room has ballooned.
Oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it doesn't matter what your hobby is, right? Like when you have somebody who shows interest in your hobby, you want to share it with them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't care if you're building model boats in old bottles or what. Oh, you should come over. I've got, you know what? I actually upgraded and bought a new whatever. You can have my old one. Right? We started doing this. I have received more tripods from people that I know. They're like, "Oh, you guys need tripods here. I got one. I had one, an old one. I don't need it anymore." I'm not even sure what all we're going to put on these tripods.
We don't have enough camera equipment.
We have a camera and a light, and so far we have 22 tripods and 2 things to put on it. So we don't even have to move the tripods. We just leave the tripods, keep moving the camera.
Which makes us feel amazing because having people in your corner just say, "Hey, we want to champion you on in this."
Yeah.
Much like in the whiskey hobby. Hey, so here's what I would say about the whiskey community. I find more love and camaraderie in this hobby. Yes, there are people that want to be negative and all of that stuff. You do you, buddy. But I'm in it for the love. I'm in it for just this right here, talking and communicating camaraderie, finding what we enjoy. Yeah, there's some teasing that goes on, but you know what? I'm in it to win it.
It all came back to really what started the concept of what became the Noble Dram, right? And it was that, man, what's in the glass is awesome, right? Mm-hmm. But what's outside the glass is better, right? And ultimately, if you look at my drinking patterns, I don't tend to drink a lot by myself, right? Although I still enjoy whiskey, even when no one else is around. You're right.
Yeah.
Right? You don't believe me?
Sometimes you enjoy whiskey.
No, I did. No, I absolutely do enjoy whiskey. But what I enjoy most about whiskey is sitting down and sharing a glass and a conversation, right? It is a way to socially connect. I think that partly goes into, we talked about ballooning during COVID, as you kind of got into this as a solo act, as you started trying different things. And then what I realized is other people like this too. So then it turned into, we ran to social media platforms and started doing Zoom happy hours and all this kind of stuff. And then as soon as they let us out of our cages, we ran to go hang out with each other. But a lot of us brought that level of whiskey with us when we came running out. Mm-hmm. And what we realized is having a handful of guys sit around, whether you're on a patio smoking a cigar and drinking a whiskey, or you're watching the game and drinking a whiskey, or it's just the two of you in heartfelt conversation while sharing a glass, it's absolute highlight of my day.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
And I made a joke earlier that my wife does not like whiskey, and she doesn't. It's not a joke. It's really true. But for her, it's wine, right? So her and her girlfriends get together for wine. And so sometimes it's not even that we're sharing the same thing, right? Those evenings where you sit down with my wife and it's just the two of us having conversations about life and everything that goes on as being a parent and an adult and all this kind of stuff. And she's got her glass of wine and I've got my glass of whiskey. And we just share those moments together over that glass, right? I feel the same way about barbecue. Right?
Heck yeah.
No, it feels sad to eat ribs by yourself. But with several buddies and you got barbecue sauce everywhere, it's good time.
It's dripping down the beard and
good time.
All that fun stuff. All right. So
all right, no, this was my bottle. You have to tell me what you pick up first.
So on the nose, I'm gonna tell you something.
Uh-oh.
Don't make fun of me.
Too late.
I mean, I get fruit. I mean, it's fruity on the nose to me.
Okay.
But what I wrote down was juicy fruit.
I was just thinking when you said fruity, I was like, he's going to say juicy fruit.
Like
you're talking the gum.
Yeah, the gum.
Not past the first 10 seconds of juicy fruit. Juicy fruit is good for about 10 to 15 seconds.
Yes, agreed.
And they're like, yeah.
Like it's almost like that initial
pop
it in the mouth. I get a little
there's when you said fruit, right? I could pick up fruit too. I got a little lemon, a little orange, right on that citrus side. Mm-hmm. But I get something deeper than that, something a little darker than that. I wrote fig down.
Fig,
right?
Okay.
Had a coworker. She was a bit more of a health nut than I, right? I don't know if it shows so much on the camera, but healthy food is not my forte. But she used to get these like bags of figs, and she would snack on figs in the office. And every so often, she would offer one. And man, like a fig is really, really good. Most of my fig exposure has been in preserves and jams, right? Which is absolutely phenomenal too, right? But no, this reminded me a little more like fresh figs.
Okay, all right, I get that. I get it. Not figgy pudding.
No, figgy pudding has way more chocolate in it, and I don't get as much chocolate here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Some whiskeys you get a lot of chocolate. I've gotten some that are like big time chocolate, but not here.
All right. All right.
So on the palate, on the finish, what do you pick up?
Yeah. On this?
Yeah. It makes sense to talk about this one since it's more tasting. Yeah.
On this one right here.
Yes.
It tastes like fall.
All of these have tasted like fall.
I feel like this one.
There hasn't been a spring. Maybe Glenkinchie is spring.
I was going to like this one.
But it's hay. It had hay on it. Not. You know what? So I grew up in Kansas, right? Winter wheat was a thing that got harvested in the spring.
Okay.
Maybe what I was smelling was winter wheat. Dry winter wheat, not
winter wheat. So I get, like, to me, it's something that I want to drink in the fall time. Like it's not the full punch in the face, bold, where hint we're going to be venturing onto in the part 3.
Join us in the next episode.
But we're venturing there, and those that know a bit about Scotland, obviously it's an island. Oban, for what I know, is right on the water. Right?
It is.
We talked about it being right on the water.
It's got a salty.
Yeah.
I actually, it reminded me a bit of, like, have you ever had a dessert that put salt on top? Like salted caramel. My wife made chocolate chip cookies once that had like flaked salt on top. Oh my Lord, changed it, right?
Yep.
It's that saltiness that kind of makes it taste sweeter, kind of thing going on there. It's absolutely there. I expected smokiness, and I don't know if I picked it up. Remembering back to the Cragganmore and the Dalwhinnie, I almost think they were slightly smokier than this.
I would agree. I'd agree on that.
I probably need to go side by side. Maybe that'll be when we're done with the episode. I'll put a splash of Dalwhinnie and just kind of see where that lays relative to the Oban. But in my head, Oban was always smokier than those.
Really? Okay.
And I don't know as if I get that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's no smoke. There's a hint. I mean, just a wisp of smoke. But yeah, I would say on the finish, especially that sea salt, salted caramel kind of stuff hits me.
I think there's a hint of spice, maybe a little bit of black pepper.
Yeah, I would almost said white pepper more than black pepper, but I could be wrong.
I mean, black pepper and Scotland.
Is that a common cuisine adder?
It's a thing.
I got news for you. Every house I've ever lived in, we put a lot of black pepper on it.
I have a cologne that is Highland black pepper.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll bring it over next time.
To be honest, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
You're like,
all right, okay, hold up. We need to put a number to it.
Ooh, all right. So What? I was a 78 last time.
Yeah, but that was a different whiskey.
It's a different whiskey.
That's not a fair.
I think I am more around like an 83 on this.
How do you do that? I had 82 written down. Like
What?
you managed to one-up me every single
What?
time. Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm one up better than you. That's what we're saying.
I mean, in my mind, 80s is in the I gotta have a bottle. I
Yeah.
can't recall the last time I didn't have a bottle of Oban 14, right? I don't know how much of it shows on screen, but there's a whole section of Oban over here behind me.
And there's a few down here at the Florida Whiskey.
Yeah, that's a very, very tasty whiskey.
Yeah.
I expected it to be significantly more bold than the Glenkinchie, and I think they're actually a little closer than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Which surprises me. Maybe what we'll do when we get to the end of this is we need to sit down and do a run through of all 6 and then put an order.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Maybe what we'll do is put them in an order we'd recommend for you guys to try them. Maybe that would be a fun twist.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that. That'll be the end of the next episode.
Okay.
I'm making the executive decision, change up the plan, or revamping the entire episode.
Just
I'm teasing.
From scratch.
I'm teasing. We're still going to drink them.
from scratch.
All right.
Okay.
Bring us to a close, Gavin.
So, one, we would love to hear if anyone's actually had any of these bottles. And we'd love to hear what you think about this episode. Obviously, we're 2/3 through our miniseries. So, the next episode, we're going to button everything up in that part 3. So,
Wait, but what bottles are we going to try?
what do you want to know?
Let's tell them. Let's tell them.
Let's
Come
tell
on,
them.
we're all
Let's
friends.
tell them.
We're all friends.
All right.
What one are you bringing to the table?
So, next episode, I got the Talisker 10.
You have any idea what that bottle looks like?
Oh, you want to know? All right. I got one right here for us.
That worked out well. That worked out real well.
All right.
I get to bring maybe the greatest brown water ever invented.
Oh, this is a cheater for you.
This is a cheater for me. The Lagavulin 16. That will be my taster for next week's episode. So, let's bring us to a close, Gavin.
All right.
Raise a glass.
Cheers.
And Salan Java.
And Salan Java.
We want to thank you, our noble listener, for joining us.
We believe each whiskey has a story, and so do you. So give us your thoughts by leaving a comment.
And if you have a whiskey you'd like to see us share, let us know.
You don't want to miss a single episode, so subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And make sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay up to date on the Noble Dram.
And if you find watching us difficult, you can always listen to each episode on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
As always, be noble
and enjoy your dram responsibly.